Located in south-central Utah, Capitol Reef National Park is the least known of Utah's 5 national parks. And to be honest, I had never heard of it until I was looking on a map on my way to Zion. Alright, we are making a quick stop at the visitor center because I need a map because I did zero research for this. Do we like this impromptu style, or should I actually do my job and do some research? More fun for me this way. Many features of this park include structures of Mormon pioneers of the 1880s left behind after settling and farming this land. Taking the scenic drive to the southern half of the park, you are met with strangely colored rock formations. The red colors you see is a result of oxidized iron, while the green color is the result of dry climate and reduced iron. Oh no, I should not be doing this. What am I doing? I think that's it. Just like the Capitol building. Would you look at that? I name things the same way. I can't even make fun. I had a goldfish and I named him Orangey because he was orange. So very observational naming. Yeah, so I get it. This park got its name from the early settlers who thought that the sandstone resembled the dome of the Capitol building. And many of them had nautical backgrounds and noted the 87-mile water pocket fold was a barrier to transportation, so they called it reef, just as the reefs of the oceans bar ships from passing through. It's kind of cool though. It's pretty cold today though. It's like 40 degrees and no sun. I forgot the name of it, but that fear of holes, if you have that, you probably shouldn't come here because there's a lot of holy rock. If you're religious, you should. Sorry. As you walk through the gorge, you can see the rocks have a bunch of large and small holes in them. These are called solution cavities. These are only on the surface of the sandstone and are a result from erosion by wind, water, and ice. These were weak points in the rock structure that eroded more easily than the area around it. And it is also known as honeycomb weathering. Also, the fear of holes is called trypophobia. I can't decide. It looks like a bunch of Capitol buildings to me, so. The Capitol Gorge hike is a great flat hiking option to explore, and it goes on for miles showing you petroglyphs, pioneer inscriptions, water pockets, and a chance to walk through the narrows. The park is full of water pockets which form from depressions in the sandstone through erosion, which can hold water year-round, and some of them even support entire ecosystems within them. These larger life-sustaining water pockets are referred to as tanks. And that, my friends, is the Capitol Gorge for you. On the gorge walls, you can see inscriptions with names and dates left behind by pioneer settlers. Some are from the 1880s, and some are from the 1920s. The walls are filled with them, and it's really cool to stop and read the names on the wall. There is even a camera perched above to make sure no eager tourists add their name to the wall. Historical graffiti probably was illegal back then, and now it's being preserved by a government agency. Moral of the story, if you do something illegal and then wait 100 years, it might just be preserved as a national artifact. Okay, this one's just ridiculous. It's from 1911, and it's so high up. I have no idea how they got up there. So this became a national park in the 1970s, so I wonder if any of them came back with their grandkids and were like, oh, look, I did that. I hope they see the irony here that they're preserving graffiti. Since we haven't seen enough arches this week, we are going to see another one. The Cassidy Arch Trail is a 3-mile out-and-back trail that leads up the sandstone to an arch sitting 400 feet above the road below. You are able to see this arch from the road beneath, but if you are able to, I would definitely recommend taking a hike up to see it up close because the surrounding views were breathtaking. Forget the arch, I'd climb for these views. Whee! arch itself was equally as cool, and I witnessed many people even walking across this natural bridge to take pictures, which looks scary to me. There are no natural guardrails to go with this bridge. Now, the early Mormon pioneers actually established many orchards which are still maintained to this day. They are called the Fruita orchards, and they grow apples, apricots, cherries, peaches, pears, and plums. The cool thing about this park is that during the right season, you could come and pick the ripe fruit to eat for yourself, free of charge. I went in the off season and was not able to enjoy this feature of the park, but it seems really cool. There is also other evidence of Mormon settlement, including a single-room schoolhouse. This is called the Fruita Schoolhouse. Even though in the early days there were only 8 families settled in this region, there were a lot of children. This schoolhouse was restored to look like it did back in the 1930s, and is preserved by the park for people to see today. One of the more popular hikes in the park is the Hickman Bridge Trail. This trail gives you a view of the Capitol Dome.
Okay, everyone, I totally lied before. This is actually Capitol Dome that the park is named after.
Which the park is named after.
Is this the Capitol Dome? Because honestly, that looks more like the Capitol building than the other one. I'm gonna have to Google this later. I don't have service. And at this point, I can't even remember what the Capitol building looks like anymore.
And don't listen to me about being confused about which one is the Capitol Dome. I now have service and can confirm I was correct the first time. These blackened rocks are actually volcanic in origin and were left behind from glaciers melting many years ago. It looks strange in contrast to the pink and orange sandstone surrounding it. The Hickman Bridge is 125 feet tall and 133 feet wide, and it's definitely worth the quick hike to see it up and close in person. On this hike, I also found a spot where the water pockets had broken through the sandstone above, creating mini bridges, and you can imagine over time this is how the larger arches in the park were formed. This park also contains petroglyphs left behind by the Fremont culture. It is established that they were carved into the stone around 300 to 1300 AD. I walked along a short boardwalk which takes you up and close where you could see the carvings left behind. The Fremont people began to incorporate farming into their hunter-gatherer way of life, and these markings are proof of their presence here in the park. Finally, for sunset, I made my way to Gooseneck Point. This overlook was incredible, and kind of resembled a goose's neck. If that goose was a cartoon and in distress, but still very cool. As I watched the sunset, the landscape around me transformed, as there was a quick break in the clouds and the setting sun highlighted the sandstone structure. Then the clouds returned, but honestly, I didn't mind. Look at these colors.
I know it doesn't look it because we're in the desert and everything, but it might be too cold for this.
To be honest with you, this park wasn't my favorite. A lot of the park involved looking at historical buildings and artifacts rather than enjoying natural beauty like other national parks. But I would still say if you were passing through, this is definitely worth a stop. And look at these views, come on. And cue the sunset compilation.
I am now a popsicle. It is so cold. First hike up is the Capitol Gorge hike. It is what the park is named after because the settlers thought that they believed it looked like the Capitol building, a rock that looked like a dome, so they named it Capitol Reef Park. Well, the reef is for the barrier reef in the ocean because all these water pockets broke through the sand. Okay, I'm not a geologist. You guys can look this up. Basically, water made its way through the rocks here, caused zigzaggy formations, like the barrier reef in the ocean. Okay, all right, you guys get the gist.